Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Friday, January 8th, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's NBA and college basketball games and look ahead to tomorrow and the weekend's games. My picks for NFL Wild Card Weekend. A big trade in Major League Baseball that we have to discuss. I'm going to save my right-wing rankings for Monday because of this big baseball trade I want to talk about, and my best bet of the day. All right, first we'll talk about the NBA from last night. There are only 5 games, and then we will look ahead to the weekend and obviously tonight in the association. Nets over the 76ers, 122-109. Brooklyn is 5-4. Philadelphia is 7-2. Joe Harris had 28 to lead the way for Brooklyn. And Shake Milton had 24 for Philly along with 7 assists. The big story of this game is that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant both sat. And then Seth Curry, they get word during the game in Philadelphia that he tests positive for COVID in the middle of the game. And luckily Seth Curry did not play. And now obviously both of those teams have to be tested and contact traced and all that. So we'll see if that leads to any postponements or not. Cavaliers over the Grizzlies 94-90. Cavs 5-4. Memphis 2-6. Andre Drummond had 22 with 15 boards. Jonas Valanciunas had 17 with 10 boards. Mavericks over the Nuggets 124-117 in overtime. What a great game. Dallas 4-4. Denver 3-5. Nikola Jokic had 38, 11, and how many assists did the Joker have? 4? And then Luka Doncic was just unreal and single-handedly won that game for Dallas. 38 points, 9 boards, and 13 assists. He was just fantastic. Spurs over the Lakers, 118-109. The Spurs are 4-4, and the Lakers are 6-3. LaMarcus Aldridge came back. He had 28 points. LeBron had 27 with 12 assists. So what a great win for the Greg Popovich's team over the Lakers in a game where both LeBron and Anthony Davis played, and both of them played well as well. Trailblazers over the Timberwolves 135-117. Portland is 4-4. Minnesota 2-6. Damian Lillard had 39 points, 7 boards, and 7 assists. Anthony Edwards had his best game so far. He had 26. Big slate tonight at 7 o'clock. You have the Suns and the Pistons. My projections for this game: Phoenix 13.5, total 221.5. Meanwhile, FanDuel has this. Oh, it's off the board. Oh, no, it's not. Phoenix 7, totals 216.5. I am going to take the Suns minus the 7. Chris Paul really has brought a new swagger to this team. Devin Booker's playing well. DeAndre Ayton, I think, will have a good game. So give me the Suns minus 7 against the Pistons. 7:30, you have the Wizards and the Celtics. My projection is Boston by 4.5, total 234. Meanwhile, it's off the board as of the moment, so we can't pick it. I think the Celtics will probably win. I think Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook will keep Washington in the game. I'm going to say that Boston wins. Thunder Knicks. My projection, Knicks 3, total 211. Meanwhile, it's Knicks 2, total 210.5. I have no choice but to lay the 2 with the Knicks. Do I love this pick? No, but I like it enough to pull the trigger. New York has played really well lately. Tom Thibodeau has really built a culture already with this team. He's really gotten a lot of players to overachieve this season so far. So give me the Knicks minus 2 against the Thunder at home. Charlotte, New Orleans next on the slate. That game's on ESPN because it features LaMelo Ball and Zion Williamson. I project New Orleans 6, total 214.5. Meanwhile, it's New Orleans 6.5, total 219.5. I'm going to take the under. The Pelicans have been playing good defense so far this season, so give me the under 219.5. 8 o'clock, Orlando, Houston. My projection is Orlando 5, total 221.5. Meanwhile, it's off the board on FanDuel. By the way, ESPN has Boston 5.5. So I would take Washington with the points there And then Magic Rockets is Rockets 6.5. I'm betting on Orlando straight up. That's all I got to say. I don't think that the Rockets are going to be very good this year. Too much James Harden trade rumors. That's going to kind of bite that team. Give me Orlando plus the points. They'll win the game outright. They're getting 7, according to FanDuel, plus 235 straight up. And then FanDuel has the Washington line at 6.5, so I'll take the 6.5 with the Wizards. Next up is the Jazz against the Bucks. I project Milwaukee by 2.5, total 227. Meanwhile, Milwaukee's favored by 5.5, and the total is 231.5. I'm going to take the under here, the Utah Jazz. I think that Rudy Gobert could stop Brook Lopez a little bit in the interior. So I'm going to take the under 231.5. I think that total is very high for that game. I don't see a lineup for Brooklyn, Memphis, and it's because of all the absences those teams have with no Kevin Durant, no Kyrie Irving, and no Ja Morant. And I would project, by the way, with those 3 guys absent, Brooklyn 2, total 223. And I think the Nets will probably win because I think that their depth will come through. Although Memphis has some nice players, but I think Ja Morant is probably the most valuable player between those two teams. All due respect to Kevin Durant. At least he has Kyrie Irving. But I just think that Morant's more valuable than Durant at this point because the Nets are deeper than the Grizzlies. So I'm going to say that Brooklyn wins that game. Clippers-Warriors on ESPN at 10 o'clock. My projection is Clippers 4.5, total 226.5. While it's Clippers 6, we don't have a total. I'm going to take the Warriors getting the 6. I just think that the Clippers might be looking ahead a little bit. I think Curry can keep him in this game, so give me a Golden State plus the 6. And there's no totals out for these next couple games. Chicago Lakers, my projection is Lakers 8.5, total 227.5. You know, it's Lakers 10. So I have to take the Chicago Bulls plus the points to keep this game close. And then Toronto Sacramento, my projection is Sacramento 4.5, total 225. You know, Sacramento as a 5.5 point underdog, and I'm grabbing the 5.5. I think a wise move tonight would be Sacramento Orlando moneyline parlay. See how that would play out. So give me Sacramento plus 5.5 and plus 194 straight up. Now we look ahead to the weekend. Saturday, 3 o'clock NBA TV, Nuggets 76ers. 7 o'clock Hawks Hornets, Suns Pacers. Heat Wizards on NBA TV. 8 o'clock Cavs Bucks. Spurs Timberwolves. 8:30 Magic at the Mavericks. 10 o'clock Trailblazers Kings. Sunday, 3 o'clock NBA TV, Jazz Pistons. 4 o'clock Bulls Clippers. 6 o'clock Nuggets Knicks. Thunder Nets. 7 o'clock NBA TV, Heat Celtics. Lakers Rockets. 8 o'clock Spurs Timberwolves. 8:30 Raptors Warriors. So, some interesting matchups. Finals rematch. Although it's not really a finals rematch because Kawhi's not there. And then Heat Celtics is a good game. We saw that the other night. If Harden plays, maybe Lakers Rockets would be good if all 3 of those stars played. So an interesting slate for the NBA weekend for sure. Now we'll go to college basketball. We'll recap yesterday's games and look ahead to a busy slate for tonight. Here we go. Iowa Hawkeyes, number 5, defeat Maryland, the Terps, 89-67. Bryant over Central Connecticut State, 93-68. St. Francis Brooklyn over Mount St. Mary's, 70-55. Colorado over number 17 Oregon, 79-72. Northeastern over Hofstra, 81-78 in overtime. Number 8 Wisconsin over Indiana, 80-73 in double overtime. Texas Rio Grande over the other St. Mary's, 96-67. Cincinnati over SMU, 76-69. Merrimack over Sacred Heart, 97-90 in overtime. Long Island over St. Fran, Pennsylvania, 78-75. Warren State over Tennessee Tech, 57-54. Belmont over Southeast Missouri State, 77-66. Colorado State over UNLV, 74-71. Eastern Kentucky over Jacksonville State, 69-66 in overtime. Idaho State over Northern Arizona, 73-69. Eastern Illinois over Murray State, 74-68. Montana State over Northern Colorado, 79-67. Number 1 Gonzaga over BYU, 86-69. Number 12 Illinois over Northwestern, 81-56. Stanford over Washington, 91-75. USC over Arizona, 87-73. Tennessee State over UT Martin, 74-62. San Francisco over Portland, 88-64. Southern Utah over Idaho, 85-80. Washington State over Cal, 71-60. San Diego State over Nevada, 65-60. And UCLA over Arizona State, 81-75 in overtime. All right, we have a lot of games for a Friday. So we will look at them and project the lines. First up at 12 o'clock, you have IUPUI against Milwaukee. My projection is IUPUI by 11. And the line is Milwaukee 5.5. I'm taking IUPUI plus the 5.5 plus 198 straight up. 4 o'clock, Manhattan, Quinnipiac. My line for this is Quinnipiac 9.5. And I don't see a lineup yet on FanDuel, although ESPN has it at 3. I'm going to lay the 3 with Quinnipiac. St. Francis, Pennsylvania against Long Island. I don't see a line for that either. My projection is St. Fran, PA by 4.5. Sacred Heart in Merrimack. My projection for this game is Merrimack by 10.5. And there's no line yet. Mount St. Mary's, St. Francis, Brooklyn. I project Mount St. Mary's by 12, and it's St. Fran, Brooklyn, 1.5. I'm taking Mount St. Mary's plus the 1.5 at minus 104 and plus 114 straight up. Central Connecticut State against Bryant. My projection is Bryant by 10. It's Bryant by 12.5. I'm taking Central Con State plus the 12.5. I believe this line last time was 13. Rider, Niagara. My projection is Niagara 14.5. It's Niagara by 7.5. I'm going to lay to 7.5 with Niagara. 5 o'clock, Oakland, Green Bay. My projection is Green Bay 2.5, and it's Oakland 1.5. I'm taking Green Bay plus the 1.5 at minus 106 and plus 108 straight up. 6 o'clock, Kennesaw State against Liberty. My projection for this game is Liberty 28.5. Meanwhile, it's Liberty 21.5. I'm going to lay to 21.5 with Liberty. South Alabama, Coastal Carolina. My projection is Coastal 8.5, and it's Coastal 5.5. I'm going to lay to 5.5 with Coastal Carolina. Georgia Southern, Appalachian State. App State's a 5-point favorite, according to me, or should be. And they're only 2.5. I'm going to lay to 2.5 at App State minus 114. CBS Sports Network at 6:30, Ohio and Toledo. My projection is Toledo 8.5. It's Toledo 3.5. I'm going to lay to 3.5 with Toledo against Ohio. 7 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, you have Purdue against number 23, Michigan State. My projection here is Michigan State by 9.5. Meanwhile, Michigan State is favored in this game by 4.5. I'm going to lay to 4.5 at Michigan State against Purdue. UC Irvine, UC San Diego. My projection here is UC Irvine by 8.5. And UC Irvine is a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going to lay to 2.5 with UC Irvine at minus 104. Youngstown State, Wright State, 7 o'clock on ESPN 2. My projection here is Wright State by 4.5. Meanwhile, it's Wright State by 12.5. I'm taking Youngstown plus the 12.5 at minus 104. UIC, Purdue, Fort Wayne. My projection is Purdue, Fort Wayne by 18. Meanwhile, Purdue, Fort Wayne is a 2.5-point underdog. I'm taking Purdue, Fort Wayne plus the 2.5 at minus 106 and plus 128 straight up. Northern Kentucky and Cleveland State. My projection here is Northern Kentucky by 4.5. And they're a 1.5-point underdog. So I'm taking that plus 114 straight up as well, and it's minus 104 if you take it against the spread. Stetson in Northern Alabama. My projection here is Stetson 1, and it's North Alabama 2.5. I'm taking Stetson plus the 2.5 at minus 104 and plus 132 straight up. North Florida and Jacksonville. My projection here is Jacksonville 2, and Jacksonville's favored by 1.5. Total is 143.5. And I'm going to take the over at minus 108. I think that's going to be a little bit more high-scoring game, and I get value there on the over. Lipscomb and Bellarmine. Lipscomb's an 18-point favorite. And actually, no, Lipscomb is a 2.5-point underdog. I project them as an 18-point favorite. That's crazy. Lipscomb plus 2.5 at minus 112, plus 120 straight up. Georgia State against Troy. My projection is Georgia State 27. Meanwhile, Georgia State is favored in this game by 8.5. I'm going to lay 8.5 with Georgia State against Troy. Little Rock in Louisiana. My projection is Little Rock 6.5. Meanwhile, Little Rock is a 1.5-point favorite. I'm going to lay the 1.5 at Little Rock at minus 118. UL Monroe hosts UT Arlington. My projection for this one is Arlington 19. Meanwhile, where's there a line for this? There it is, 6.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5 at UT Arlington against UL Monroe at minus 104. FIU Middle Tennessee, my projection is Middle by 1. And Middle is a 1.5-point underdog in this game. So I'm going to take the 1.5 and minus 112 and plus 104 straight up. FIU Old Dominion, my projection is Old Dominion 10.5. It's 8.5, so I'm going to lay 8.5 with Old Dominion at minus 105. ESPNU, North Texas UTSA. My projection is North Texas 10.5. Meanwhile, it's 6.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5 with North Texas against UTSA. Hawaii UC Riverside. My projection is Riverside by 3. It's Riverside 5.5. I'm taking Hawaii plus 5.5 at minus 104. Midwest Stephen F. Austin, we can skip. Southern Miss UAB. My projection here is UAB by 18.5. Meanwhile, UAB is a 13.5-point favorite. So I'm going to lay the 13.5 with UAB at minus 104. It's 8 o'clock, Air Force, Boise State. My projection is Boise by 19.5. They're favored by 17.5. I'm going to lay the 17.5 with Boise. South Dakota, UMKC. My projection is South Dakota 8.5. And the line's not up on FanDuel. ESPN has a South Dakota 1.5. So I'm going to lay the 1.5 with South Dakota against UMKC. Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky. My projection is Western Kentucky by 6. They're favored by 7.5. So I'm taking the total because it's less than 2 points of a differential from what my projection is and from what FanDuel has. I'm going to go over 142.5 at minus 112. Next up, Cal Baptist, Utah Valley. My projection is Utah Valley by 2. And it's 3.5. I have to go to the total, 150.5. I'm going to take the under 150.5 at minus 114. I don't feel strong about it, but that's where I'm going to go. Grand Canyon, Tarleton. My projection is Grand Canyon 9.5. Total 136.5. Oh, wait, that's the FanDuel. My projection is Grand Canyon 24.5. I'm going to lay the 9.5 of Grand Canyon at minus 118. Next up, Long Beach State, Cal State, Fullerton. My projection is Long Beach State by 6. And it's Cal State, Fullerton 1.5. So I'm taking Long Beach State plus 1.5 at minus 120. They're minus 102 straight up. 8:30, North Dakota, Oral Roberts. My projection is Oral Roberts by 6.5. Meanwhile, it's 10.5. I'm going to take North Dakota plus the 10.5. Western Illinois, South Dakota State. My projection is South Dakota State 28, and it's 17.5. I'm going to lay the 17.5 with South Dakota State at minus 115. Omaha, North Dakota State. My projection is North Dakota State by 6, and it's 8.5. I'm taking Omaha plus 8.5 at minus 112. 9 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, Utah State, New Mexico. My projection is Utah State 17.5. Meanwhile, it is 15.5. So I'm going to lay the 15.5 with Utah State. San Jose State, Fresno State. My projection is Fresno 12. And I don't see a lineup on FanDuel. Fresno's 14.5 according to ESPN. So I have to take San Jose State plus the points, and I do not like that pick. Rice, UTEP. My projection is Rice by 0.5, and it's UTEP by 8.5. I'm taking Rice plus 8.5 at minus 114 and plus 320 straight up. ESPN 2, Davidson hosting Dayton. My projection is Dayton 2, and it's Davidson 6.5. I'm taking Dayton plus a 6.5 at minus 104 at plus 260 to win the game outright. And last but not least, on ESPN 3 at 10 o'clock, Cal Poly and Cal State Bakersfield. My projection is Bakersfield 29.5. It's 13.5. I'm going to lay to 13.5 with Cal State Bakersfield at minus 104. Saturday, big day in college basketball. 12 o'clock, Fox Sports 1, St. John's number 7, Creighton. Creighton should win. Ohio State number 15, Rutgers. I'm going to go with Rutgers there at home. Wake at 21, Duke. IPY, Milwaukee. CBS Sports Network, Richmond and George Mason. Richmond should win that game. I don't have my line projections for Saturday yet, but maybe I'll tweet them out because it's a big day and a lot of conference play and all that. George Washington, St. Bonaventure. I'm going to say St. Bonnie at home. Miami, NC State. NC State should win that game at home. ESPN 2, Auburn hosting Alabama. I'm going to go with Bama on the road. Hartford, UMass Lowell. Host for Northeastern. 1 o'clock ESPN, a big one. Number 4, Texas against number 14, West Virginia. I'm taking the Mountaineers at home. They need the game. Gardner-Webb, Winthrop, Southern Illinois, Indiana State, South Florida, East Carolina. I think East Carolina is vastly improved, so I'm going to take them at home. SEC Network, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. I'll take the Bulldogs. Chattanooga, Citadel. Great game, by the way, in SoCon. Great game. I'm going to say Chattanooga. Drexel, Charleston, 2 o'clock ESPN 2, number 9 Tennessee at Texas A&M. We'll go Tennessee on the road. I don't think that's a trap game. Number 22 Virginia at Boston College. This could be a trap game, but I'm going to say that Virginia wins. Navy, Lehigh, Akron, Eastern Michigan, Moore State, Norfolk State. Fox Sports 1, Seton Hall, DePaul. I'm going to say that Seton Hall gets it done on the road. Illinois State, Evansville. Missouri State, Valpo. UCF, Tulsa. I'm going to say Tulsa at home. Marist, Monmouth. Rhode Island, VCU on CBS Sports Network. I'm going to say VCU at home. The much improved VCU team. Fordham, Duquesne. I'll go with Duquesne. Army, Holy Cross, Vermont, Binghamton, UMBC, New Hampshire. Maine, NJIT, VMI, Furman, Mercer, UNC Greensboro, Delaware, William & Mary. Montana State, Northern Colorado, Idaho State, Northern Arizona, Idaho, Southern Utah. 3 o'clock ESPN, number 2 Baylor at TCU. I'm going to say Baylor keeps rolling. Washington, Cal. I'm going to go with Cal at home. I don't feel good about it, though. Youngstown State, Wright State, UNC Asheville at Hampton, South Alabama, Coastal Carolina. That's a nice one in the Sun Belt. Houston, Lamar. Northwestern, Nazarene, Portland State. 3:30 SEC Network, Georgia and Arkansas. Battle of two improved teams. I'm going to say Arkansas at home. 4 o'clock ESPNU, Tulane at number 11 Houston. We'll go with Houston. ESPN 2, number 18 Texas Tech at Iowa State. We'll go with Texas Tech on the road. We'll avoid the trap. Siena, Fairfield, Whitworth, Montana. UConn, Butler. We'll go with UConn on the road on CBS Sports Network. Manhattan, Quinnipiac. Fox Sports 1, UNLV, Colorado State. We'll go with Colorado State at home. Ryder, Niagara. NBC Sports Network, LaSalle, UMass. We'll go with LaSalle. Lafayette, Bucknell, Jacksonville State, Morehead State. Georgia Southern, App State. Charlotte, Marshall. ESPNU, North Texas, UTSA. will go with North Texas. Western Michigan, Kent State. 4:30 CBS, Oklahoma at number 6 Kansas will go with the Jayhawks at home. Bowling Green, Central Michigan. 5 o'clock Pac-12 Network, Oregon State and Colorado will go with Colorado at home. Northwestern State, McNeese. 5 o'clock ESPN, Kentucky, Florida. Yeesh. We'll go with the Gators. Don't feel great about it. UIC, Purdue, Fort Wayne. Oakland, Green Bay. Southeast Missouri State, Tennessee Martin, Belmont. Austin, Eastern Illinois. Radford, Charleston Southern. Kennesaw State, Liberty. Lipscomb, Bellarmine. Sabine State, Central Arkansas. Little Rock, Louisiana. Texas, Arlington, UL Monroe. Southern Miss, UAB. FIU, Middle Tennessee. Ball State, Buffalo. 5:30 Alabama A&M, Mississippi State. 6 o'clock Southeast Louisiana at Nichols. Colgate, Boston University. Campbell, Longwood. North Florida, Jacksonville. Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I'm going to go with OK State on the road. Texas Southern, Prairie View. Alabama State, Arkansas, Pine Bluff. Northern Illinois, Miami of Ohio. 6:30 Southern, Grambling. Alcorn State, Jackson State. 7 o'clock ESPN, number 19 Clemson at North Carolina. Clemson is a team that I think needs a breakthrough win at a marquee program to really get the casual fans for them to earn their respect. But Carolina needs this game too. So I'm going to take the Tar Heels at home against Clemson. UC Irvine, San Diego. USC, Arizona State will go with USC. Incarnate Word, New Orleans. Northern Kentucky, Cleveland State. Tennessee Tech, Eastern Kentucky. Stetson, North Alabama. Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky. FAU, Old Dominion. CBS Sports Network, Santa Clara, St. Mary's will go with St. Mary's at home. Hawaii, UC Riverside. 8 o'clock, number 1 Gonzaga at Portland. Gonzaga should roll. Georgetown, Syracuse, so an old Big East rivalry game will go with the Orange at home. South Dakota, UMKC, Cal Baptist, Utah Valley, Grand Canyon, Tarleton, Western Carolina, Sanford, Long Beach State, Cal State, Fullerton, 8:30 SEC Network, LSU at number 13, Missouri. I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going to go with LSU straight up on the road. I don't feel super about it, though. North Dakota, Oral Roberts, Omaha, North Dakota State, Western Illinois, South Dakota State, 9 o'clock St. Martin, Seattle, 9 o'clock ESPN, UCLA, Arizona will take the Bruins on the road. Nevada, San Diego State on CBS Sports Network will take San Diego State. Rice, UTEP, San Francisco, Loyola Marymount, 9:30 Washington State, Stanford. This is a big spot for the Cougars, who really would like to prove some people wrong and prove that their 9-1 record's for real, but I'm going to take Stanford at home. 10 o'clock Cal Poly and Cal State Bakersfield, and 10:30 you have number 17 Oregon against Utah, and I'm going to go with the Ducks on the road. Sunday, 11 a.m. on Fox, Providence Xavier. So this is the appetizer before the NFL playoff games. I'm going to go with the Mustangs at home. UMBC, New Hampshire at noon. 1 o'clock Gardner-Webb, Winthrop, Southern Illinois, Indiana State. UNC Asheville, Hampton, Hartford, UMass Lowell, Drexel, Charleston. 2 o'clock Pac-12 Network, number 17 Oregon at Utah. So those two teams will meet up again. Morgan State, Norfolk State, and I think Oregon will split the home and home. Say Utah picks them off once. Illinois State, Evansville, Missouri State, Valpo, Marist, Monmouth, South Carolina, Upstate Presbyterian, Vermont, Binghamton, Maine, NJIT, Delaware, William and Mary, 2:30, number 16 Minnesota, number 5 Iowa. Great game. This better be on TV. I'm going to say that Iowa, led by Luka Garza, gets it done. 3 o'clock, Lehigh, Navy, Holy Cross Army, Radford, Charleston Southern, Siena, Fairfield, 4 o'clock. Bradley, Northern Iowa, by the way, Siena, Fairfield, also 4 o'clock. ESPN 2, Cincinnati, Wichita State will go with the Bearcats, who are starting to look better on the road. 6 o'clock, ACC Network, Notre Dame at number 19, Virginia Tech. I'm going to go with the Hokies at home. Indiana, Nebraska will take the Hoosiers on the road. Bucknell, Lafayette, Colgate, Boston University on CBS Sports Network will go. Ooh, that's a tough one. BU at home. Don't feel good about it, though. Campbell, Longwood, 6:30 ESPN 2, Loyola, Chicago, Drake. Great game in the Missouri Valley. Drake undefeated. Loyola, Chicago, really good. I'm going to say Drake's handed their first loss here. I'm going to say Loyola, Chicago gets it done on the road. 7 o'clock, San Jose State, Fresno State. I'm going to take Fresno at home. And then 8 o'clock, Maryland at number 12, Illinois. I'm going to have to go with Brad Underwood's team, the Fighting Illini, for the win there. Wild card weekend is finally upon us. We are going to pick the 6 playoff games that will be played this weekend. It's going to be fun. And I have picks for you. Saturday, 1 o'clock, you have the Colts and the Bills. My projections, Bills 6.5, total 50.5. Bills are going to have fans in the building at a very limited capacity, as New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has allowed fans to be in the stands for this. And FanDuel has this at Bills by... Okay, why is FanDuel not loading on me? Hang on, guys. 6.5, total 51.5. I'm going to take the under here. So Vegas is in agreement with me on the line, but I have a 1-point edge on the under, and that might go down because there's juice on the under. The Colts defense is very good. The Bills defense has shown some improvement over the last couple of weeks, although it's been against subpar offenses like the Dolphins. So give me the under. I don't feel good about it. I'm going to say the Bills win this game in the range of 27-23. Or something like that. Maybe 30-24. 30-24 is perfect. That is going to be my... Or no, that wouldn't make any sense. 30-24 doesn't work. I am going to say that this final score will be 20... Maybe 26-20 would work. 26-20 works. 30-20 works. 27-20, 27-23, 28-22. It may be like a 2-point conversion or a missed extra point in there or something. 4 o'clock on Fox. And by the way, Colts Bills is CBS, if I'm not mistaken. Rams Seahawks on Fox. My projection, Seahawks 6, total 46. Seahawks 3, total 42.5. I'm going to take the over. It's very valuable at minus 104. So my play for this game, as much as I like the Seahawks minus the points, my podcast play is going to be over 42.5. I'm banking on Jared Goff to play. If Jared Goff does not play, then this goes up to Seattle 9.5. And I'd love the Seahawks even more. But I'm banking on Goff playing. I know the reasons for the under, Aaron Donald and all that. But the Seahawks defense to me is Swiss cheese. So I like the over 42.5. I think that this could be a 23-20 game. And bingo, there you have it. 26-20, I think, will be the final score, actually, in favor of the Seahawks. And in my final score for the Bills game, I'm going to go with the crazy 28-22 call and say that there's a missed extra point in the game by Roberto Blankenship of the Colts. And in primetime tomorrow night on NBC, you have the Bucks at the Washington Professional Football Team. My projections, Tampa 12, total 46.5. No fans in the stands for this one. No fans, by the way, in the Seattle game either. So Tampa 12, total 46.5 for me. Meanwhile, Tampa 7.5, total 44.5. I'm laying the 7.5 with the Bucks at minus 112. I think Tom Brady's going to have a big chip on his shoulder this playoff season after the debacle last year when he was with the Patriots against I almost said the Chiefs, against the Titans. So give me the Buccaneers minus the 7.5 at minus 112 against the Washington Professional Football Team. Sunday, 1 o'clock on the simulcast of ABC and ESPN, you have the Titans hosting the Ravens. My projection is Titans 1, total 51.5. Meanwhile, it's Ravens 3, total 54.5. I'm taking the Titans plus the 3 at plus 102, and I'm taking them to win outright at plus 154. Derrick Henry is an animal. We all know Lamar Jackson 0-2 in the postseason. Make it 0-3. I love Tennessee here. I think the Ravens could very well be the hot at the right time team, and that's what Vegas is trying to think here. But this Tennessee team is very good. And I like the under, too, 54.5 at minus 108. But I'm going to go with Tennessee plus the 3 and plus 154 straight up. So that is going to be my money line pick of the wild card round. Tennessee plus 154. And obviously like the plus 3 at plus money, too, at plus 102. 4:40 on Fox, you have, CBS. The Bears at the Saints. This is probably the Jim Nantz, Tony Romo game, unless they send them to Buffalo, which they should be in Buffalo. I think they will be in Buffalo, and then the Chicago-New Orleans game will be called by Ian Eagle and Charles Davis, who are a sneakily good broadcast tandem for CBS, as Charles Davis went from Fox to CBS. And I think it's weird that CBS has an NFC playoff game, and then Buck and Aikman are obviously going to have Rams Seahawks. So my projection is Saints 13, total 48. It looks like Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas will play. That is good news for the Saints. Meanwhile, the Saints favored by 9.5, total 47.5. I am going to lay the 9.5 in New Orleans. Very juicy minus 115. I think this is a double-digit win for New Orleans. No, 2011 won't repeat itself against the 7-9 Marshawn Lynch-led Seattle Seahawks. I love this offense. I think Kamara's going to be motivated. I think that Michael Thomas will be ready to go. Emmanuel Sanders. I think that the Saints defense will pick off Mitch Trubisky a couple times. So give me minus 9.5 in New Orleans at minus 115. And last but not least, in primetime Sunday night on NBC, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth on the call, and then Mike Tirico and Tony Dungy will have Tampa, Washington. Although, let's face it, if that was the Giants playing Saturday night, that would have been Al and Chris. Because Tom Brady against the Giants is more of a sexy game. And the reason why they put that game in primetime, the Tampa NFC East game, because I think they were banking on that to be the Giants or Dallas. All due respect to Tom Brady. But they were banking on that being the Giants or Dallas. Although Tom Brady in primetime is enticing too. And the Alex Smith story is great. So I understand why they put that game in primetime. But yeah, Cleveland, Pittsburgh should be fun. My projection is Pittsburgh 4.5, total 47.5. Meanwhile, it is Steelers 6, total 47.5. I'm taking the Browns plus the 6. No, the Browns won't win. I just think this is a more competitive game than people think. You know everyone's going to be on the Steelers because the Browns have been having COVID issues all week. Kevin Stefanski's not coaching in this game. Odell Beckham Jr. is out for the season. I think that running tandem of Chubb and Kareem Hunt might not be that much of a factor here because of the Steelers' prolific run defense led by T.J. Watt. But the secondary for Pittsburgh has been leaky at times, but at the same time still solid. But I don't know if Baker Mayfield will really take advantage of it, although that offensive line in Cleveland's very good. But that said, I'm taking the Browns plus the 6. I know why everybody loves the Steelers. I just made the case for the Steelers, but the case for the Browns is that that offensive line holds that Steeler defense in check, and Baker gets to sling it around a little bit. And I'm going to say that Pittsburgh wins 27-23 in what should be a fun game. So again, my picks against the spread totals. Colts, Bills, under 51.5. Rams, Seahawks, over 42.5. Buccaneers, minus 7.5. Titans +3 and +154 straight up. Saints -9.5, Browns +6. And then straight up picks, Bills, Seahawks, Bucks, Tennessee, New Orleans, Pittsburgh. And I think, as I mentioned, the lone underdog that will win outright will be Tennessee. Alrighty, so before Best Bet, I would like to touch on a big trade that happened in Major League Baseball yesterday afternoon. The Cleveland Indians traded Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco to the New York Mets. And in return, the Cleveland Indians get Andres Gimenez, Ahmed Rosario, Isaiah Green, the outfielder, and right-handed pitcher Josh Wolf. So that is a great deal for the Mets. They get a massive upgrade at shortstop. Massive. And then Carlos Carrasco can slide into that rotation as a number 3, number 4 starter. Because let's face it, they needed help at starting pitching. You wouldn't have thought that because of all the sexy names they have. But they obviously have Jacob deGrom. Marcus Stroman's a free agent. Noah Syndergaard's coming off a Tommy John surgery. So they needed help in that rotation, and Carrasco will help them. But yeah, Lindor on the Mets is just spectacular. And to me, this kind of takes them out of the DJ LeMahieu sweepstakes, although there's talks about the Mets potentially signing him because Robinson Cano obviously suspended for the season due to PEDs. And they're supposedly the front runners for George Springer. So obviously the Mets make a ballsy move by really fleecing the Indians, in my mind, for Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. And so that lineup now, you have Jeff McNeil, who can play anywhere, Todd Frazier, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso in the infield. And then they signed James McCann as a free agent. He's their catcher. Michael Conforto in the outfield. Maybe they signed George Springer. And then you have J.D. Davis, who was playing left field for them, coming off a career year. And Dominic Smith as DH. That offense all of a sudden is very good. And the Mets, to me, if the Yankees just stand pat in the offseason, the Mets are the best team in New York. I'm sorry. The Yankees need to make some moves now. I'm sorry. The New York Yankees with this deal are under a lot of pressure now. Not because, obviously, they're not in the same division. It's because of the city thing. They have to retain DJ LeMahieu, and they have to bring in a starting pitcher. Because as of right now, you could argue that the Mets are better than the Yankees, offensively and with the pitching staff. Because DJ LeMahieu, as of right now, is a free agent. And the New York Yankees rotation is Garrett Cole and a bunch of question marks. So the Yankees are under a ton of pressure. The Nationals made their move with Josh Bell, so they're not under much pressure. The Phillies, I think, are under a little bit of pressure with this Lindor move. And obviously the Braves are under a ton of pressure now with this move. Because to me, if the Mets had Springer, they're easily the team to beat in the NL East. To me, if you ask me who am I picking to win the NL East right now, I probably would say the Nationals or the Braves. And I would potentially talk myself into the Mets. But to me, that's a 3-team horse. And the Phillies, to me, could potentially have a move in them, too. And don't forget the Marlins, who were a huge surprise last year and made the postseason. With that young team, the NL West is easily the best division in baseball now with this Lindor trade. And I think that the Mets could potentially sign George Springer, and they would really make themselves the team to beat in the NL East. But in the NL, in total, to me, it's Dodgers and San Diego in the National League, and then maybe Nats, Mets, Braves. All right, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. there are some interesting games that I can go with. And that pick for today resides in college basketball. And that is Lipscomb. Oh, no, I'm not going to go with Lipscomb. Never mind. I thought about it, but never mind. Michigan State minus 5.5 against Purdue. 4-point edge. I just think that this is a good opportunity for Sparty to remind people that they're still Sparty. So give me Sparty minus the 5.5 against Purdue. But yeah, I almost went with Lipscomb, but it's minus 118, so I didn't go with that. And so I went with the valuable number instead. So that's it for the podcast today. Make sure you guys check out the podcast from last night with my friend Steve and I as we preview the hockey season and go through the totals and all that. I'm going to do the left wing rankings on Monday, top 100 players on Tuesday, and then the big prediction show is going to drop, the one that I'm doing solo, on Tuesday night. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on Monday's show, we'll recap everything from the weekend as well, from college basketball, the NBA, and of course the NFL playoff games. And in Monday's show, we'll preview and predict the NCAA football championship game between Alabama and Ohio State. Hope you guys have a great weekend, everyone.